If you want to know how to master your mind and really become anyone that you choose to be, then this video is for you. What I want to share with you is a story, a personal story that you might relate to. We're always looking to become something else, right? Either more confidence or, less self-doubt or maybe just to be able to win more in life, right? So years ago in one of my first businesses that I started, my brother was my business partner. He was he was the front person of the company, right? And I was the behind the scenes operation guy, right? Like most companies always have that. Now, we grew the company pretty quickly within 3 years. And my brother, after about 3.5 years of running the business, one day, I was at home and I got the call from his wife, right? And I knew something was wrong when I picked up the phone. There was something that I sensed. And as soon as I picked up the phone, his wife said, "He's gone." Right? And I knew instantly what she meant. My energy just dropped all the way to the floor, right? And she told me, rush over to the hospital. The ambulance has taken him there. So as soon as I got into my car, I was just going to bed. It was like 9:30 at night. I, just put on my boots and got in the car, drove. And then as soon as I got to the hospital, I had this feeling, right, that something was wrong, right? And when I went into the emergency room, I saw my sister-in-law and, she was weeping. And when I went in, I hugged her and she stepped out for a second. And I knew there was something, something just didn't feel right. And as soon as I saw the doctor, in his white robe coming towards me, it was almost like time just stopped, right? And when he approached, he told me, he said, "Your brother didn't make it." And I just had this sensation started from the bottom of my feet and just rose all the way to the top of my head. And I knew at that point that my life wouldn't be the same anymore, right? Well, that day my brother passed away. He was also my business partner. And we had a company of over 30 employees. He was the front of the company. He was the face of the company. And I was the operations. And I was the finance guy. That day, I knew I had to become someone else. Right? The next day, I got up. We were still fully operational. But I knew I had to step into a different role than the person that I was just the day before, right? Before I got the call that my brother passed away. I had to step into the role of the salesperson, the face of the company, right? Managing the entire sales operation, managing projects, right? Although we had 30 employees, my brother took a whole totally different role than me, right? And in an instant, it was just like a light switch. And I became all that other responsibilities that my brother did, right? I had no choice. And somehow, some way, I just became that, right? I became that entire company face, right? Because I had no choice. So I tell you this story because sometimes we are pushed or put in a very hard position where we just make the switch, right? Where we become more confident, where, possibly we just become that other person image that, maybe you want to become more successful in life. Maybe you want to get more confidence. Maybe you want to find that love of your life, right? And we have to step into a new role, right? To be able to achieve that because our prior self will never do it, right? Because it's an old identity, right? And for me, at that point, I became a new identity, right? Although after that, I actually experienced some PTSD because I never was fully processed when my brother passed away, but that's another topic for another conversation. But what I want to really explain to you is that if you want to become someone else. You don't need a tragedy to happen to be able to get what it is that you want. But I want to give you a few steps that you can start doing to be able to achieve that next level. Maybe it's in life, maybe it's in business, maybe you're going through some hard time right now, and you just want to, maybe travel somewhere else, or just raise your level, right? Raise your bar, because in life we hit certain stops, right? Certain plateaus, you can say, where we want more, right? And if that's for you, then I really, push you, and I recommend and I pull you and I empower you to be able to say that you have everything that you need to get to the next level. So the very first thing is to know that we have these multiple, I say secret powers inside. We have this power inside that can really do anything that it is that you set your mind to. However, what holds us back is our belief. Before, when my brother was still alive, I never thought that I was going to be the sales or the front of the company, or I had to meet customers, I had to run the sales department, run projects and all that. I just didn't see that in myself. So what we have to start doing is we have to start first identifying that we want, right? For instance, if you want to start a new business, right? You want to identify that. And what I'm talking about here is that you have everything that you need, but it's running in your subconscious mind. It's that part of you that you don't even realize that's running. It's that part of you that never sleeps, right? And there's a great book, the cybernetics. This gets me so excited that I want to share with you, because our subconscious mind is so powerful that all it is, it's waiting for you to give it a command or a directive, and it just makes it happen, right? Sometimes we do get pushed. Like when my brother passed away, I had no choice. It was on survival mode, right? But sometimes survival mode also doesn't help us to move up to the next level, because survival mode sometimes means that we're more reactive, right? And we might stay at that place because of a fear, but sometimes we get pushed into something, right? So the very first thing, if you want to invoke more of something or get to your higher level, or maybe you want to unleash your hero within, right, is to be able to write that down in detail. See, your subconscious mind works very, very simple. It wants to be told exactly what to do, but it has to be in details. Feeling is the secret. Neville Goddard, if you ever heard of Neville Goddard, he was my very first metaphysical teacher, but also my first business teacher, my first professional development teacher. He opened my mind that feeling, that invokes that internal superhero inside you, right? That subconscious mind, that creator, right? So what you want to do is create everything in detail, exactly the way you want it. Maybe you want a new job. Maybe you want a new relationship. Maybe, you want to become maybe someone else, right? Maybe you want to become a star. Maybe you want to, do amazing things in this world. And let me be if not the first one to tell you that you can, but it's very important. So after my brother passed away, what I did is I sat down and I said, okay, so this is the things that I have to do. But then I also stepped it out, right? Like I saw the things that I had to do and I detailed them. That enabled me to tell my subconscious mind, okay, these are the things that we're doing. Although I struggled a lot in between. And like I said, there's other challenges that I had that I'll mention that you'll be able to use to help you in this journey. And my goal of this channel is to empower you to be able to really choose and design the life that you want and step into your powerful self, right? So the first thing is you want to identify it, and it's very simple. You want to get a sheet of paper, and the sheet of paper use blue ink. There's a lot of power in blue ink. If you notice, if you go to the store, there isn't that many blue pens, and there's kind of a reason. Blue activates There's just a lot of power in that, and maybe I can go into detail in another video, but use blue ink, preferably. If you're a typer, you can type, type in blue, right? There's just some power in that blue ink, and write down in detail what it is that you want, right? Maybe it's a new job, right? And you want to be so detailed where it actually excites you. You want to feel that feeling. You want to feel that excitement when you're writing it down. Maybe it's that significant other, right? You want to go to a quiet place and just write it in detail. This gets you excited. This gets your subconscious mind excited, and then put it away, right? So now you just set your goal. And now, of course, the next step is you want to start taking action towards it, right? But what you want to do is be able to identify the things that are going to happen that allow you to be able to get to that, right? There's a lot of power in that, because when I stepped into that role after my brother passed away and I took over the company, one of my goals was to sell a company, right? And I set that goal, right? Although there were a lot of, I say different adventures to get there, but 2 years later I did. There was a lot of challenges, a lot of learnings that I had to go along, but I was able to do it in 2 years, which at that moment it seemed like it was impossible because the company pretty much collapsed and I had to rebuild it. So, but once you set that intention and you just keep moving forward, that's when magic happens. And you have to understand that you have everything that you need, because if you look at yourself from 10 years ago, depending, whatever age you are, maybe 5 or maybe 2 or maybe 30 or maybe 40, you're not the same person, right? We have different beliefs that we gain over time. Now, there is one thing that I will share with you. If you see yourself stuck like in a cycle that's going over and over again, and you get to a certain plateau and then it seems like you keep going down, now there might be something that's holding you back. That's actually one of the struggles that I had with when I took over the company, that I still had my old self-limiting beliefs of the identity that I had, and I can explain this a little bit more further. But if you see yourself that you go to the next level, or you achieve something, and then you kind of you somewhat self-sabotage, you go back down, those are self-limiting beliefs. But that's actually you might think this is weird, but it's a good thing, because it's a lesson. Anytime that you progress to the next level and you self-sabotage, there's a lesson in there, right? There's a lesson that we have to acknowledge. Either it's a belief, normally it's an emotion, right? It's a repressed emotion, because let's say, you're making $100,000 this year, or let's say you're making $50,000 and your goal is to double it, right? You work so hard to get to that next level and you'll never see it, because our identity still exists at the 50,000. So what you have to do is you have to invoke emotions. Emotions is energy. Emotions actually create your reality. And the reason they do that is because it's energy and motion. Everything is frequency. Everything is energy. Have you ever walked into a room and there was let's say you ever went to a party and there's a group of people. There's always a couple people that kind of stand out. They're just like vibrating and all high energy. And there's other people that are just like, without you even speaking to them, you feel their energy, right? So that's because they have their internal emotions, right? They're very different. Maybe possibly very higher energy, and others very low energy, right? Maybe someone just got some bad news and their energy is low. You've probably felt that, right? So what you have to do is you have to invoke your emotion. And that's what we do when you write out in detail the things that you want and give it to your subconscious mind, right? And then you get excited, then it gets excited, then your emotion gets excited. And then that's when your frequency starts changing. And then it starts looking for, in the book Cybernetics, once you identify your target, your brain is made, your subconscious mind, to identify certain things that will allow you to get that what you want, right? So it's very important to be able to describe it, but invoke that feeling, invoke that emotion, because what that does is that we think in pictures, okay? So if you're able to describe something in pictures, right, then you get those thoughts. Those thoughts create your emotions. Emotions create feelings. Feelings are going to cause you to react in a certain way and take certain type of actions. It's a whole process, right? But if you want to achieve greater things in 2024, or you want to get to the next level, and you want to know how to really control your mind to get what it is that you want in business, or in life, or in relationships, maybe in your health, everything starts by you understanding that you have everything that you have inside, and you have to in detail describe what it is that you want, and then invoke that feeling, that emotion, get excited about, give it to your subconscious mind, and then things will start appearing that are going to guide you. Now, you do have to realize that you want to keep an open mind to everything, right? The path is never set in one direction. Let me tell you. So when I took over the company, I wanted to, my goal was to sell the company, because I just did not want to have the company without my brother in there. There was a little emotional. That was part of the self-limiting beliefs that I kind of said earlier. So for me to get there, there was a lot of paths. I struggled quite a bit. Like I mentioned, I had PTSD, so I started drinking. I started taking, medication. I started self-medicating, a lot, just to cope with it, because I never allowed myself to grieve my brother's passing, right? And we'll talk about that another, because negative emotions inside our body create the frequency, and then that actually plugs us up. Emotions are supposed to flow, right? So if you experience something in the moment, it's actually good that you just release it in that moment and not hold it back, right? Because then after a while you hold, and then your life sometimes tends to be a mirror image of what you have internally inside. So if you're able to release those emotions, it's a great thing, right? So back to the point where if you are, describing in detail, and if you're getting excited about what it is that you want, right, and you just keep an open mind, right, of the things that are going to be appearing, that path is never from A to B, right? It just never is, right? And if you do, that's when you're going to hit that wall, right? So if you are working towards to get to the next level, I really want to empower you to say that you have everything that you need, but you want to know what it is that you want, and you want to describe it in detail, in blue ink preferably, and then describe in detail where you feel the emotions and you get excited. And this is what I want you to do every day for 21 days before you go to sleep. 20 minutes before you go to sleep, there's a window. There's a window where you're directly connected with your subconscious mind, right? Consciously, we're walking around, we're going to work, but 20 minutes right before you go to sleep. So when you lay down in bed, right, I want you to read what you wrote, right? Doesn't have to be long, right? As long as it's in detail and you get excited about it. It could be 5 pages, it could be a paragraph. However, as long as it invokes your feeling, you want to read it 20 minutes before you go to bed for 21 days. If you miss a day, you're going to have to do it again, because there's a process to it, right? And then there's also when another time when you're most connected with your subconscious mind, and that's in the morning, 20 minutes right after you wake up. So what I like to do is, before I get up, is I like to either read whatever it is that I want to manifest, right? Or when I'm lying in bed, I just close my eyes and visualize it. I see myself in a new job, or I see myself, helping millions of people right through this YouTube video, or I see myself speaking on stage, right? Or I see myself, finding a significant other, or getting that job, or starting that business, right? 20 minutes. That's the window before you go to sleep and after you wake up, that you're most connected with your subconscious mind. And that's when you tell it exactly what it is that you want, and you'll start seeing things start manifesting. And this is how you start managing, controlling your mind, understanding that you are the creator of your reality, and you can create the life that you want and deserve. That way you can step into your purpose, right, and live an amazing life. So I hope you found this video useful. I'll be sharing a lot more techniques that I've used throughout my life, a lot more experiences as well. So please subscribe to the channel and comment below if you have any experiences you would like to share. I would love to read them. Thank you for watching. Much love. Namaste.